Dr.
Dr. Shanta, yeah.
How are you? All right. It's very interesting to listen to your lecture.
Thank you very much.
And there are two questions actually. Now, the early stage you mentioned about the Prakruti and the balancing the doshas in each individuals, So, and the relationship with Prakruti and Vikriti, right? So that's I'm sure that you understand that very well. And then the Prakriti, as I understand that, the Prakriti is the balance at the time of birth, right?
Yes.
Then as the time goes, it becomes Vikriti. And very often we see a patient at the point of Vikriti, right?
Sure.
And then we're trying to get the balance back to the original Prakriti. So that is what you call intention of the treatment program. So I think, would you clarify that as what I said, it was correct? Or
yeah. I mean, I'm not here to say whether you're correct or not, but I'll certainly present my view. There's that's why I said in the beginning of the lecture that there are two thoughts here of what is homeostasis. The one school of thought says that you've got to actually restore the Vikriti back to Prakriti.
Yeah.
And another school of thought, says that, you have to restore an equal proportion of Vata, Pitta, Kapha in each of these tissues and each of the organs. And once you do that, the body cures its own self. So I kind of, after reading, certain scriptures I just mentioned, I'll just point them out. Now, let me go explain. See, now, if we look at the actual sutram itself, one question, I mean, one problem that we have, if we the Prakriti at the time of the birth is again, see, individual organs have actually been subject. Okay, let me come to that a little later. So at the time of the birth, if the logic is to restore the Vikriti to Prakriti, what would you do in a congenital diseased individual? A congenital individual, diseased individual has a certain Prakriti at the time of the birth, but that is not good for him to survive. Because if that was his original Prakriti, if we restore him to original Prakriti, he will again, we'll lose the patient, isn't it? With a congenital malformation. So we try to restore. So now, how do we move? What is the direction of our treatment methodology? From this question, I'll try to answer. So what I think is, okay, let me just cite from the original scriptures. So what the original scripture, Sutrasthanam, is saying is what I just mentioned, that sama doshaha, sama agnischa, sama dhatu malakriya. So sama dosha is the question, is the concept in question here. So what is the sama dosha? Now look at the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, because see, Ayurveda, Yoga, these are all Shat darshanas, and they have, the purpose is pretty much the same. Why am I saying the purpose is pretty much the same? Is Ayurveda, what Ayurveda says is, swasthya ityabhidhiyate. So what do you gain by maintaining this balance? Samadoshaha, samagnischa, samadhatu malakriya. What happens once you maintain this samatva in these doshas and agnis and the dhatus is, a person ends up becoming prasanna atma, prasanna manas, and prasanna indriyas. These are the three things that will happen when someone ends up in a state of VPK balance. That's point number one. Number two is swasthya iti abhidhiyate. Swasthya is a word that again needs a little more analysis, because in the Taittiriya Upanishad, the word swasthya is beautifully explained. Because these are the sutras, these are the aphorisms from where you try to understand what is health and what is not health. As I mentioned the day before yesterday, arogya is the word for health, and that's what that everyone knows. The word Ayush Ministry, the health ministry has created Arogya Setu, the app for your tracking your health. But arogya from the original Sanskritam means rogaha abhasaha itihi arogyaha. absence of roga is arogya. So that is one. But what is swasthya? The word arogya is not mentioned in any of these, aphorisms when either Sharangadhara Maharshi or the Madhava Nidhanam, any of these, you take any of the Agnivesha Tantra or the Ashtangaridam, everyone mentioned, all the rishis unanimously mentioned the word of swasthya. Why? Because swasthya means swasthanam shiryate iti swasthya. What it means is swasthanam. So the swasthya is the word, is an end stage where you arrive at. That's the original stage. Swasthanam shirite iti swasthya. The word swasthya means that you arrive, you attain the original state. And what is the original state? According to Sankhya Darshanam, is the Nirguna Nirakara Parabrahma Tattvam is the original state, from where the Prakriti and the Purusha come. Their interaction leads to the formation of Mahat. Mahat leads to the formation of Aham. Aham to the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. From the Tamas came the 5 Pancha Mahabhutas. So the swasthanam of a jivi is to be in alignment with the Nirguna Nirakara Parabrahma Tattva. So being one with the absolute God is the swasthanam, number one. Swa, because in Sanskritam, swa again means Atma. That's point number one. Number two is, if you go to the Patanjali, if you refer the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Maharshi Patanjali also mentions yoga. What is yoga? Yoga sama uchyate. This is again according to the Bhagavad Gita. But yoga sama uchyate. And what is yoga? Again, according to Patanjali Maharshi, is yoga chitta vritti nirodha. So what is happening is, in the process of the eightfold path of yoga, you're actually trying to overcome the chitta vrittis. The chitta vrittis are the accumulated memories of all the past actions. All, when I'm talking all, it means all of the past lives, including, or all of the past, entire past life. This is all ingrained in the chittam, in the subconscious mind, and the seat of the chitta is the limbic system. So your essentially target is to remove all the chitta vrittis, because it's when the chitta vrittis, what is happening is the subconscious brain is actually full of these memories of the past. So when you act based on a memory of the past, you're essentially trying to, you're prejudiced already. So that's why yoga says you have to remove all the past impressions of all the past lives. And once you do that, naturally God's intellect or mahat flows through you, and you attain the swasthanam. That is you attain the swasthanam or samadhi according to yoga. And what happens when you attain the swasthanam, according to again Vedanta Panchadashi, the chapter 1, shloka number 17, and also the chapter 2, shloka number 25. Okay, Vedanta Panchadashi is a book written by Maharshi Vidyaranya, which in his earlier avastha was Madhava himself. He wrote the Madhava Nidhanam. So the Madhava Nidhanam, and then later he wrote the Vedanta Panchadashi. What he mentions is, when you have if God were to descend, if the Nirguna Nirakara Parabrahma Tattvam were to descend in a physical body, what he says is that he has all the Pancha Mahabhutas in equal proportion. In the chapter 1, 17 shloka, he exactly mentions that. So that is why what I deduce from here is that when you essentially try to bring about a balance of Vata Pitta Kapha in equal, when you maintain a balance of Vata Pitta Kapha in all of the 7 systems, 7 tissues and 42 organs, you essentially are eliminating all the Chitta Vrittis, whereby the Jivi becomes one with the Supreme Being, and his divine intellect or the original intellect flows through him, because all his past memories, or not memories, these are the chitta vrittis, are eliminated, and he attains the original sthanams or swasthanam. So the samadosha should be understood, according to me, from these scriptures as a state in which you have the vata pitta kapha in equal proportions in each of the 7 tissues and 42 organs. So the vikriti is the state, is the current state of vata pitta kapha. So for me, from what I understood is the Prakriti doesn't matter, because because the Vikriti is the one that defines the proportions of Vata, Pitta, Kapha in individual organs. And if you define that, if you understand that and restore them to the state of equilibrium, then, first physical health gets restored, then slowly mental health, emotional, social, and spiritual health gets restored. That's what I'm thinking, Dr. Shanta.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So